Merry Christmas, all my beautiful friends. Today we're going to be making, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Jelly the Snowman ornament. And Jelly, if you can see here, is selling his snowballs for only 5 cents a piece. That's right, 5 cents a piece. You don't even need a coupon for that, you know what I mean? And it would make a great stocking stuffer. Jelly is made out of oven hardened clay. I did try making him out of air dry, but it didn't work out nearly as smooth. So today, this is what we're going to be attempting to make. Jelly, the Snowman, and I'm going to show you step by step. I'm going to be breaking the video and reinserting things because, well, I'm trying to hang on to this camera while I'm doing it. Anyway, off we go. Okay, let me zoom in so you can see a little bit better. And what we're going to make right now is the body, the arms and legs, and the head of the snowman. As you can see, he's got 2 separate legs, 2 separate arms, and he's got a body, and his head actually would be glued back on later, but it is individually separate. So what I've done so far to the sculpty is I've put it in the microwave because, as you know, Fimo dough, sculpty dough, is pretty hard. So if you put it in the microwave on medium-high, mine goes from 1 to level 10, and I put it on a 7 or an 8, and I do it for 10 seconds at a time. You can see it becomes very, very pliable. Now, I discovered something today at the store that I love. It's called glow-in-the-dark glitter. I kid you not, glow-in-the-dark glitter. So we're going to spice up our sculpty with that, okay? So give me just a minute here. All I'm going to do is pour in a super, super generous amount because I really want this to be sparkly. And I want it to glow in the dark. And I'm just going to knead this in. Be back in a minute. Okay, so what we're going to make now is the body and the head of the snowman. You can't really see this, but this has got beautiful shine to it now that I've added the glow in the dark glitter. Regular glitter will be just as shiny, just won't glow in the dark. Well, and I've seemed to have picked up some pieces of dry sculpty clay from earlier where I left them out, so try not to get those in your piece because that does happen and they just look wrong. What I'm going to do is use this conditioned clay, and by conditioned, here's what I mean. If you've ever worked with the clay before, you know it's hard. It's very hard with your hands to work with, especially if any of you guys have arthritis or joint damage in your hands. So put it in your microwave for about 10 seconds at a time on level 7 to 8 if it's a 1 to a 10. And this will make it soft enough and pliable enough that you can really use it and mold it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch off a piece of clay that's about the size of a golf ball, and I'm just going to roll. Now this rolling technique is what you're going to use for most everything you do with the clay, also for the paper clay, also for marzipan, candy, a lot of different things that you're going to make shapes in. And the purpose of rolling it is to try to get all the creases out and have a nice smooth surface. Okay, and I'm going to take one hand and I'm going to roll it at one end more than the other. See my hand? So that you have got a teardrop shape. Now I'm having to watch this because I do have some hard pieces of clay in here. Now I think it might be hard pieces of glitter actually. So I'm going to set it down on the tray and press down because this little guy is going to be sitting on top of the ornament. So we want to make sure he's got a good flat bottom. Okay? Now that he's got a good flat bottom, I'm going to roll him in my hands again to kind of even it out. Now you make sure that you use glass ornaments for this, not plastic. You do not want to put plastic ornaments in your oven at all, even at a low temperature. The glass will be fine. It's metal, I know that, but you're putting it in a regular oven, not in a microwave. Don't put this in a microwave. All the oven baked clay will not work in a microwave. It needs to be in a regular oven. And preferably 250, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, I'm going to take my little guy, and I'm going to set him on top of my ornament, and I'm going to press him and mold him down. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm pressing him forward a little bit over the cap, and I'm pressing him down. And he's going to have a few lumps from this glitter because I really put a lot of glitter in her, folks. Not a little, a lot. Hopefully the shine is worth it. And I'm pressing the edges down to make sure it's got a good seal on this ornament. Now you can always come back in and E6000 it. You can hot glue. I find that doesn't work very well usually though. The clay. The E6000 works much better. Now I've got him on there, so I'm just going to try to roll up my hand a little bit again, get it the shape I want. And there we have his little body. Let's give you an idea. His little body. Be back with the head. Okay, regarding the body, what I wanted to tell you is when you get the body onto your ornament, like I showed you, you're going to want to put a toothpick down through the middle, or you could use a bobby pin, or you could use a screw or a nail. All this is going to do is provide support for the head when you put it on. We'll simply slide it down like so. And I would go ahead and bake them separate and then glue them together, but you can bake them just like this. I've done that many times. Also, in the back, in case I forget to tell you after I show you the arms and legs, you're going to want to put something in the back to be a hook. You can use any kind of eye hook. You can use a hairpin. You can use actually a regular Christmas tree ornament hook, or anything that's got a little loop at the top. And I'm not sure what this is called, but anything that's got a way to hang it with. And we're going to insert that directly into the back. And we'll wait until we get all the arms and legs on to do that, because it'll be much easier to do the pushing then. Okay, now we're going to make the snowman's head. Start with the preconditioned clay, roll it in my hands. All we're trying to do is get the seams out. Now this time we're going to use some glass beads. And these are pretty small. I don't see the millimeters on these, but they're 6/0 glass seed beads. And to give you an idea, they're just itty bitty. So all we're going to do is take these beads and push them into the clay. Depending on how close you put them together or how far away, you'll get a completely different look to your snowman. Now, what I have done is I went ahead and rolled the carrot nose out, and all I would do is simply glue that on at a later time. You can go ahead and make it if you want to, and then stick a little piece of broken off toothpick in here into the head and also into the end of the nose, and insert it and bake it at the same time. But I just find I have more stability if I glue that on. Now let me show you what I do for the mouth. For the mouth, all that I do, sorry, the camera's kind of sliding down on me. All I do for the mouth is I take a toothpick and I just start puncturing the clay just a little bit and moving along, never completely taking the toothpick out of the clay. All right? And I've got a little smile. And I go back another time because this will puff up a tiny bit as it bakes, but not a whole lot. So you add the nose, and there you've got your happy little snowman. Next we're going to do the arms and legs. Okay, now we're going to make the legs of the snowman. Let me get my camera set up here. I have got a piece that's a little bit bigger than the head, probably about the size I use for the body, and I'm going to roll that into a ball. And this will be some tedious seconds because I know this is boring watching this, but it's really imperative you get it as smooth as you can. Now I'm going to roll it in a long log. It's not going to stay that way. What I want to do is I want to take my knife and cut it in half, and again we're trying to ensure that we have our legs about the same size. Roll one half of that in a circle, and then we're going to take our finger and we're going to go for the teardrop method, making it a little wider at the bottom. Can you see that? We're just laying our fingers on it, making it a little wider at the bottom. And I have got a lot of glitter in this, so I'm going to just show you the mistakes as I go. This is very cracked here from the glitter. I can see it. So probably won't really be using this clay because it's not the perfect look, but we're going to go ahead and use it for demo purposes anyway. Now since this is going to be his foot, I want to cup this. Stick my finger in the middle and kind of cup this around because I want it to be bigger at the bottom, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So I've got a little cup. All I did was make it like a little pie crust. Alright? Now, where's what I'm looking for? Bear with. I went to the store and I got these little plastic snowflakes. Okay? Any kind you want would be fine. I'm going to lay that down on my surface. Let me turn the blue up so you can see it. And then I'm going to push my foot right down on it. So that what happens is it's embedded. Alright? Then I can take a toothpick and to lift that out. So what I have is I have a little snowflake print in his foot. Let me show you what the finished product looks like. Because later on we're going to take a little bit of blue eyeshadow or pastels or chalk and just brush that over there so he looks like he's been walking in some cold snow. I'm going to repeat that with the other half for the other leg. And then the arms I'm going to do the same way, except I'm not going to make them quite as big, and I'm not going to flare them out quite so big. I'm just going to make them into a little cylinder. Let me do it real quick. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you and your family have a wonderful holiday season. I hope you'll remember to check on friends and neighbors that are alone this season, because they do get lonely, and this time of year makes it especially difficult. Alright, so I'll push it down on the arm just a tiny bit, and that's it. That's the arms. 2 of each, and you've got the arms and legs done. When we get ready to adhere them, all we're going to do is press them to the side, and you can size them at this point. See, I've got that one way too long, so I would move it back, push it around, then I would cut off the excess and blend it in. And I'm not going to do that because, again, this has got some dried pieces in it. I'm going to get some new clay. See you on the other side. Okay, so now we're going to do the hat. And first I'm going to do the little rope that goes around the top of the hat. And I made it two-tone. You can make it any color you want. And you can put earmuffs if you want to on them, just to give you an idea. I made a little hair barrette. You can just get artificial flower. Make a little flat snowman, little pointy nose, put some earmuffs on him with some clay, and glue it in the center with a hair barrette in the back. So you can do it that way. You can make it any way you want. Remember, you are the creator. We're starting with a basic ball shape. I've already got my darker blue rolled out, and I'm just rolling it with the flats of my hands to make it skinny, to make it a long strip. And then we're going to wind them together. Alright, I'm going to place them side by side, and all I'm going to do is start wrapping them. Twisting and twisting. So we have a rope. Alright, now I've got my little head here, and I'm just going to hold this up and see if I think this is going to be big enough to go around it. And yes, I have plenty. So that's for the portion that goes around the front of it. Next we're going to be doing the hat portion. Going to take some conditioned clay. By the way, if you'll just heat up a rag for like 1 minute without any moisture in it in your microwave, you can keep your clay warm, or you can put it on a heating pad on low to keep it warm and workable. So I'm going to take some of the blue. Might have a little more than I need here, but pinch a little bit off. You know what we're going to do first. Same thing we always do. Roll it in a nice smooth ball and put some pressure on it with your hands. Really mash the inside of that together so when you get the air pockets come out, you'll have less chance of it having a problem then. Okay, now on this little fella, I've got kind of a curly hat with a pom-pom on the end. You don't have to make it that way. You can just make a straight stocking cap, anything you want. But a top hat, a black top hat would be cute on a snowman. Okay, we've got a ball about the size of a walnut. We're going to go back to our basic teardrop. Oh, I see I've got some wrinkles in it. I don't like that, so I'm going to put some more pressure on it and get it all smoothed out. Then we're going to do a teardrop by pressing more at one end than we are the other. And do you remember how we did the feet? Okay, sorry about that. Salesman came to the door. We're still working on the hat. We've got our little trim done. We're going to start for the hat part now, and we're going to go back to our famous ball. And then we're going to roll it at one end so that it's like a cone or a teardrop. And do you remember on the bottom of the feet how we made like a little pie dough thing, like a pie plate? Press in the bottom, press your finger in, and kind of pull it out. And this one we're really going to pull out larger because, well, it's going to fit on his head. So we definitely want it pulled out larger. Okay, just making like a little crater here. Excuse me, I'm going to pick the little head up here for a second, see if it works. Whoops, looks like it's going to fit. I'm going to make it just a tiny bit bigger, but remember now this rim is going to be covered up by your rope that you made. Okay, I've got it about the size I want it. Sorry, I think my camera's slipping on me again. Alright, and I'm going to roll it out so it's a little bit longer. And make it whatever length you want it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually curl this around like so, and then we'll put a little pom-pom of the blue just by taking a little pinch of the blue that we used for the contrasting rope, roll it in a ball, Stick it right there, butt it up against the end. And there you have your little snowman hat. Okay, we're gonna make the scarf for the little snowman now. I hope you can see it. It's just a little scarf that wraps around his neck with a little fringe on the end. And what we're going to do for that is, I have got a silicone mat underneath here, silicone mat, but anything that gives texture should work. I'm going to try to wipe the glitter off here, otherwise we're going to have glitter in our scarf. Anything that gives texture, even like a nylon net should do it, as long as you don't press too hard and get the clay down into the texture of the cloth itself. Anything with texture, but silicone mats are perfect because they release, of course. Starting with our everyday common ball that starts at the base of everything. Now we're going to roll it between our hands to make it longer. Doesn't matter how long you get it, just lay it on your mat or your material or whatever you're using. I've got a little bitty rolling pin, but you can use a can or anything, just something to roll it out. You can just press it with your hands. And you don't have to texture your scarf. I just think it's kind of cool the look it gets. Let me see if I can lift it up and show you. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a really good texture. Let's see if I can get it close and show you. I'll try to take a picture and post at the end of the texture of this. Okay, so I've got it the texture I want it. Now I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to cut the ends off straight. You can leave them curved if you want. Hey, remember we've talked about this. You're the creator. Then I'm simply going to cut fringe into the end with a sharp knife. Super simple. If your clay is not quite even, then just trim it up with a knife. And there we have a little scarf. Okay, so you may be asking yourself right about now, what do I do now that I've done all these other steps, Deb? Let me show you. You remember we made the body. Try to get this camera so you can actually see me. And we made the head, correct? And we had a toothpick in this one. We had pre-punctured a hole in the head. You can go ahead and bake that on there if you want to. I usually bake them separate and then I hot glue them on, or not hot glue, I'm sorry, I E6000 them on because hot glue usually doesn't hold. The reason I bake them separately is I think I get a little bit better results. They're a little drier that way and they're not quite as fragile. Then, if you remember right, we made the legs separate. We're going to put them on. Now I'm not putting these together because I'm not baking it now, but I just want to show you what you'll do. Then you put the arms on, okay? So we've got the legs and arms on. Then we made the hat. Put that on. Okay, let's lay this down because it's getting to be too much to hold. And then we're going to put the braid around the hat, push that in the back, and what you're actually going to do is cut it in the back so that it fits. I bake the nose separately again for the same reason. And the nose you're only going to want to bake for about 40 minutes and take it out at 225 because it's a smaller piece. So you want to bake it about 225, 45 minutes for every 1/4 of an inch. The body's going to take about 3 hours, but take these little pieces out, like if you make the holly berries, take them out after about 45 minutes. I would recommend that after it's done baking, you turn your oven off and you let it cool in the oven with the door propped slightly open. That'll get some of the fumes out, although there's not a lot of fumes. But back to making the little guy. Put all the pieces on him that you have, secure them where you want them. Okay, again, these are not secured because I'm taking these for a demonstration piece tomorrow and I don't want to actually put them on there yet. And then bake this in the oven completely together. Okay, you've got everything on it except the nose, and you can put that on it and bake it with it. I just do it again because I think it lasts a little bit better if you don't. After it's done baking, open the door, and again that was 225 for the whole piece for about 3 hours. For the little pieces about 45 minutes. Turn the oven off. Crack the door open slightly like you would on a broil setting and let it cool down completely. What you get when you're done with that is you get the little fella that's ready to go. Now, what I want to tell you on these leaves is you probably are going to want to do the leaves and mold them right around, put them on when they're still molded, put them right around your glass ornament, okay? I'm trying to see if my camera is frozen. It seems to. Okay. Put them right on to your ornament. They will pop off after you bake them. Bake them in the oven with the ornament. Don't have this glitter on it. I just added that later. But pop these in the oven with the clay, not baked on it. Bake it for about 45 minutes because these are a thinner piece. Remember, the glass is conducting heat and heating it from the bottom so it'll bake better. Then after you get it out of the oven, You can pop this off. You can spray it with a varnish or a crystal clear glaze. That's what we've got to make all these really, really shiny. Okay? And then after that's dried, then you can glue it on. And I just got some things that come pre-taped on the back at the Dollar Tree and blinged up the top and around it. You can do that to your ornaments as well. Okay, so we've got it baked. We've got everything cooled down now. So what we're going to do before, this is my mistake, because if you notice anything different about him, he has no snowballs. I ran out of snowballs. But, oh, and by the way, I am going to E6000 that back on. But again, you can just put it on there and bake it together. That's what I did with him, but again, it doesn't stay as well. You'll probably want to E6000 it. So I've got him all baked now. What I want to do before I put my sign on is I want to pop the top of this off, and then I want to put the snowballs in there. Okay? Put the top back on, then take your sign and glue it to his hands. And just reach it from hand to hand. That's all I've done. And he's holding the sign. And guess what? You're done. And don't forget to add that ornament hook in the back somewhere. I'm going to put a list in just a minute up on the camera and tell you a couple of little tricks that will help you when you're working with baker's clay. And I thank you all for watching the video. Click like if you enjoyed it to encourage me to do more. I apologize for the quality of this video. Yes, I know, with a fluorescent kitchen light and my cell phone propped up on a camera, it's not the best quality, but I hope the instructions are something that you're able to follow. Thank you so much. God bless and Merry Christmas. Okay, now we're going to talk about the little sign he's holding in his hand. And it says, of course, and I hope you can see it, it says snowballs for sale, 5 cents. You can use any kind of paper you want to. By the way, I'm setting these on napkin rings, so it makes it easy to hold if you're trying to look at your work while you're doing it. I bought 2 different kinds of scrap paper from like crafting supply you do for scrapbooking. You probably can't see this. This is super glittery blue, and then this, even though it's showing up purple, is a light blue. Now the best way I can tell you to do this is just hold this up to your little snowman guy. See how far his arms are apart, and then cut accordingly. So I'm going to go down here, and you can measure, you can be as neat as you want, but when I get too particular with crafts, it stresses me out and I no longer enjoy them and I don't get as much done. So kind of just eyeball it to make it the way you want it. I also am using paint marker pens. These are white. They could come in a pack of 2 for $4.99. And by the way, just so you know, you can write on these with anything. You can even write on them with nail polish if you want to. But you can always use your coupons. Hobby Lobby and Michael's is great about having coupons and having sales. So try to check into that when you're using your ink pens. You can get them a lot cheaper that way. Your paint pens, sorry. All right, so we're just going to you shake it up real good, and then you press down on the point until you get the paint coming out, and I've already done that. Uh-oh, and I threw the point right out. That's something you have to watch. The points in these do like to come out. All right, see if we can make it work. We're going to write Snowman first, and I put that on my first line. I'm going to go over it 2 or 3 times so it gets lots of ink. This will be a little boring to watch. You might fast forward a couple of seconds because I don't really have an editing program, so I'm just going to have to piece these together. Okay, snowballs, and I'll just write one word so you can see what I'm doing, because I'm sure it's not all that exciting to watch me write with an ink pen. Paint pen. Man, I gotta remember that. Okay. Now if you're writing on the glitter paper, you might want to use a different color pen, because I did that and it didn't show up terribly well. Hang on and I'll show you. You can see it probably in person better than you'll be able to on the camera, but it doesn't show up quite as good as it does when you write with the other one. And I don't know why the coloring is so weird on my camera today. I think it's recording at night and having the fluorescence on, so my apologies. Anyway, that's how you do the sign. Okay folks, we're wrapping it all up on Jelly the Donut. There's just a few little things I wanted to give you for as far as hints on working with baker's clay. And number 1 is how to tell the date on the clay you're buying, if it's fresh or not. I'm going to try to go over here to this clay and see if I can zoom in And I'm trying to hold this camera steady. Sorry, I'm shaking a little bit. But if you look here, it says 18061401. That 18 tells you that this clay was manufactured in 2018. So always check for the freshest clay to get the best results. Number 2, condition your clay in a microwave but bake it in an oven. To condition a piece of clay, only condition the amount you're going to be using immediately. In other words, don't condition a whole pack, because the more times you heat it in the microwave, the more chance of you having dried out little bits in it, which is not going to make for a smooth product. So if you need a walnut-sized piece for like the head of the snowman, pull a piece off from the block, put it in the microwave on a medium-high, which I have a microwave that goes from 1 to 10, so I use 7 to 8, and microwave it for 10 minutes. Then knead it. If you need 10 seconds more, go ahead. Do it twice, but rarely will you ever need more than that. This will help it have a smoother finish, and if you have any kind of arthritic conditions, you will be able to work with clay very successfully. Number 3, when you get ready to bake your pieces, please preheat your oven. Have it preheated to 225, and you're going to bake it for 45 minutes for every 1/4 an inch of thickness of your clay. And this is what this means. The holly berries and the nose I take out after 45 minutes. The rest of it, which is all assembled in one piece, I go ahead and bake for a full 3 hours. When it's done baking and my timer goes off, I turn the oven off, I crack the door open like you would if you're broiling something, and I let it cool down completely in the oven. Number 4, you notice I have some shine on these pieces, and I'm afraid to zoom in because sometimes it messes the color up, but let's try. The shine comes from either a polyurethane varnish or a crystal clear glaze. Now the polyurethane varnish is actually better because it doesn't ever get sticky. By sticky, I mean it's not going to stick to anything, but it just doesn't have a nice solid finish to it sometimes. But either one works fine, and I do have a crystal clear glaze on all of these that you see. Number 5, if you find after you bake your piece that it is got a little bit of coated dust or something on it, and I'm going to kind of zoom around to some of the things I've made here while I'm talking. To get that white dust off, and I've never had to do this, but some people say they have it, to get that white dust off, just take a Q-tip and some fingernail polish remover and wipe it off. You notice up here I've put some little people on a pencil. See if I can zoom in on that. And you can bake the pencil right in the oven. Just let it cool down really good before you take it out, because the pencil will be a little soft. Not going to be a problem at all. Okay, whatever you do, P.S., please don't bake your Christmas food with your pieces. You would think that would be self-explanatory, but you know, I might have been tempted to do it back in the day. Don't do that, because there is some fumes, and although you really can't tell it in your home at all, you don't want to have your Christmas pie taste like clay from the earth, do you really? Okay, so that wraps it up. Thank you so much for watching. I know the video quality when I was trying to do it is very poor because I don't know what I'm doing yet, and it was fluorescent lighting above me. If you like this video for the instructional content, please click like, and that will encourage me to do more, and I will try to get a better lighting so you can see in the future. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas, and God bless. Okay, a very, 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 very important addendum. When I was talking earlier about conditioning the clay, step 2, I mistakenly said condition it for 10 minutes in the microwave. Oh my goodness, people, never do that. Please. It was supposed to be 10 seconds. 10 minutes would probably burn it. My apologies. I meant 10 seconds in a microwave for 7 to 8 setting on medium high. And if you need to do it a second time for 10 seconds, you can. Just knead it in between to make sure. 10 seconds. Thanks.